Okay, so a grand afternoon to ya. My best Irish accent I can
There
muster.
you go. There you go. I won't even attempt.
Okay, appreciate you joining me here on Zoom today, Representative Overdorf, just for a quick update on what's going on in Tallahassee. I did have a couple questions from your constituents as well. I'll run by you, but let's start
Sure.
out. I know you've been in session a couple weeks now, and if you can give us a quick update since the last time we visited, which was right before session.
Well, as you may or may not be aware, we're doing a variety of different things up here. One of which is the insurance bill is working its way through and looking at different things there. We're looking at the overall insurance industry. There was a report issued by the Tampa Bay Times that talked about some undisclosed profits that were put around from the insurance companies. And so the insurance and banking industry had a review on that. We also had a review on the ADP program, which looks at kids and helping them with a variety of disability issues, and had a complete review on that, as well as the overall Medicaid, Medicare program here in the state of Florida, which, as you may not be aware, that takes well over half of our state budget. And
Wow.
that's our primary issue that we deal with as far as a budgeting priorities. We also were recently named the number one state in education once again, and very proud of that. We definitely, though, need to keep increasing the compensation for our teachers, and teacher pay needs to continue to rise. As you may or may not be aware, 6 years ago, I actually ran the bill that created the mandatory minimum for teachers, and we've been able to increase it ever since then. And when we were in almost dead last, and we at least moved to the middle of the field and have been increasing ever since then as far as starting teacher pay.
Okay.
So those are some things that we're working on up here. There's some other things that are coming up this week. Everything, and it's amazing the things that we deal with. Everything from nursing to looking at expanding scope of practice to the water management district and the water management district bill. It's working its way through. We've got thoroughbred racing. We've got just so many different topics that are coming forward right now that are on the top of so many people's minds. So these different things, we just finished a working group on hemp and hemp products throughout the state, and if in fact we're going to look at regulate that. This was followed by a working group on NIL and that's the name, image, and likeness, and how that's impacting college sports. So as you can see, those are a wide variety of things that are happening here in the state legislature, and we'll continue to be working on a variety of those things.
Appreciate that. I did see in the article was released, I think just today, there's a bill that's been introduced to remove the testing requirements for graduation in algebra and English. Do you know anything about that bill?
I haven't seen that yet. I should see that coming forward, though, in one of my committees prior to hitting the floor. I have not seen that, so it's kind of hard for me to comment on something I haven't read yet, but
Correct.
we'll certainly be looking at that.
Also, one of the constituents had a concern with the joint resolution, House Joint Resolution 1263, which amends the Constitution to elect superintendents and commissioners. I think commissioners already are elected, where our superintendents of schools, some of them are elected. As you know, Martin County just changed over to appointed about 5 years ago. Are you
This is a battle that happens almost annually in the state house. We have some counties that want to do it one way, some counties that want to do it another way, as well as the various municipalities. So I think that we're gonna have that fight as it moves forward. And I follow, in Martin County, we now have elected across the board rather than appointed, and so I think that we're going to continue to be working. I'm sorry, we have appointed now in Martin County. I apologize.
right?
Whereas before we had elected. So our county spoke and how we wanted to have that happen. So I think I'm gonna try and continue to advocate for how our county in Martin as well as St. Lucie, have the appointments, and so I'll continue to advocate for that. That's what the majority of the voters wanted in those municipalities.
Fantastic. And that goes on. Deanna, one of the your constituents is concerned about recent legislative efforts that seems to reduce local control and limit residents' ability to engage with their municipalities and developers. She says that you've been involved in supporting some of the measures like the Live Local Act, and she was hoping you can share your perspective on why you believe they're beneficial for Florida and its residents.
Well, what we have to remember is that Martin County and St. Lucie County are relatively good actors when it comes to development permits overall. But we certainly have some outliers within the state of Florida. There recently was a municipality that raised impact fees by over 700%, and another one over 400%. And as
Wow.
a result, the legislature had to step in and act. There are other cases where local governments jump in and really do a massive overreach. And we have to remember that we represent all municipalities here in the state. And so we want to have that even playing field across the board that provides an opportunity for success. And that's the reason that Florida has become really the haven for personal property rights, for ability to work forward. So I think that with the Live Local Act, there was a huge cry for affordable housing, and this was a promoted as a solution to that. And I don't know of many, if any, projects within Martin or St. Lucie that have utilized that particular piece of legislation. I think there's one proposed for St. Lucie County, and there was talk of one for Martin, and specifically the city of Stewart, but I'm not positive
I
that
think
in
there's
fact
one on
those would,
Canner that passed if that's going to be building out there where the golf land was.
I would, oh, well, Golfland, 76 World. Yes,
Hmm, hmm.
I'm unfamiliar with that at the moment, but would love to learn more about it. But again, this is something that we were asked to find ways to have affordable housing. Affordable housing comes with density and comes with densities that some local governments do not want to have. And so I think that's where a lot of that legislation came from previously. And just to be clear, I did not sponsor that legislation. It was something, though, that came forward under Senate President Passidomo.
Yes. Another one, House Bill 991, abolish the CRA projects and end all CRA by 2045. Some of your local constituents are very concerned about that bill. Is that something you support?
I don't support that. And again, that is brought out of another municipality where the CRA really overstepped its boundaries and has really taken off and given that particular representative a bad taste. I don't believe that is going to make it all the way through. But again, I won't see that until it probably hits the House floor. I might see it in budget. But it's one of those things that, again, it's going to be a while until I get to see that and be able to vote on it. But I'll certainly keep an eye on it. And thank you for the update.
Yes, and I know you have about a dozen bills. I've got them
Mhm.
here on the left of my screen. You had one for cursive writing.
Yes.
It's a shame we have to legislate that, but I think it's fantastic. Is that getting well received?
It has been very well received across the board, and people up here are excited about it. In fact, the speaker designate called me about it and really wants to see what he can do to help me with it. I just had a meeting with the speaker this morning, and he asked for an update specifically on that bill. And I think it's something that we really want to move ahead with. I realize that it's currently a part of the best education side. In other words, it was mandated by the education department a little while back and through an executive order. However, what happens there is taught from grades 3 through 5, so three, 4, and 5. But there's no proficiency requirements with it. There's no testing requirements with it. So although a teacher is required to teach it, there's no requirement for the students to retain it and to be able to utilize it in their everyday work. So this ensures that, in fact, it is utilized. It gives another year of instruction, so 2 through 5, and it really helps with brain development. It helps with the cognitive abilities. And in fact, I was talking with a parent the other day, and they said it was how they found out that their child had dyslexia
Hmm.
was through cursive writing. So it was something I was completely unaware of. And some people out there will say, "Well, you're just putting another requirement on teachers." Well, right now in a lot of our private and our charter schools out there, and I'll say our private charter schools,
Mhm.
I don't want to be confused with public charter schools. Our private charter schools are in fact teaching cursive writing with proficiency, and those kids are coming out and being able to read our founding documents, read the Declaration of Independence. And I think that's a critical, important skill that unfortunately some of our public schools are not doing that. So this would require that, in fact, kids can write an essay, they can read an essay within cursive writing, and I just think it's a critical skill that we need to have for our students to be competitive on the world stage. And shoot, I mean, a grandparent should be able to write a letter to their kid or their grandkid, and not have that grandkid have it interpreted by their parents or something like that. So I think that's
Absolutely.
an important skill. that we need to have, and I can't believe that it's something that is not already required for proficiency, and that's why I felt strongly about it.
Fantastic. I agree 100% with you. Any other bills you want to update us on, or anything that your constituents here locally you might want to make them aware of that's going through Tallahassee right now? I know it's important for you to hear from them.
So we're working on a really large bill that it deals with Chapter 120, which is administrative procedures. And this is a bill that hasn't been, or a overall chapter in the Florida Administrative Code that has not been updated in over 7 years and hasn't had a significant update in it in over almost 20 years now. So what this bill does is it moves forward with looking at all of our rules. And we have over 16,000 rules that dictate how things are to be done within the state of Florida, how processes flow across a variety of agencies. Right now, the Department of Health has almost 2,600 rules that apply to the citizens of Florida, and there's no review of those rules. So this would require what's called a repromulgation. So every year, each agency from now and through 2030 would be required to look at their rules and look at 20% of their rules every single year to say, is this really applicable to today's world? Is this currently still financially feasible? And so all of these things are being reviewed now to make sure that what we're doing for the citizens of Florida is actually still applicable and these rules are still applicable. So it's something I'm pretty excited about that we're going to be processing and moving forward. And so that's one of the ones that I really wanted to highlight today.
Makes sense. Sounds important, especially with AI and technology advancing so quickly. Many things I'm sure are going to be becoming obsolete. So
Most certainly. Yep. I would ask that your visitors also keep an eye. We're going to be looking at, not myself personally, it's not my bill, but there's a water management district bill that's out there that they're looking at all the water management districts across the board. And we have $1 billion that's been given to the South Florida Water Management District. And I use the word given very loosely in that it's our tax dollars that are going through. And they've done a great job as far as the projects, the amount of projects that are going forward, but we also have a responsibility as legislators to make sure that those tax dollars are being used efficiently. Those tax dollars are being used in a manner that gets these projects done on time and hopefully under budget. So this bill just gives a little bit more of an authority to the legislature to review and make sure that these projects are in fact being done in a manner that is efficient and as cost efficient, and really seeing where this money is going from a contractor perspective and everywhere else across the board. So just another bill to keep your eye on. And I think it'll have its first hearing in the House, I think this week, but it has made it through the Senate and is, I believe, ready, has one more stop in the Senate and ready for the Senate floor over there.
fantastic. Do you have any feedback on the parks bill?
The Parks bill, I believe, has one more stop in the Senate. I actually met with Senator Harrell today on a nursing bill that we're very excited about. But on the Parks bill, I believe she has one more stop over there. There's been one hearing thus far in the House side. I think there'll be some minor tweaks to that bill. From what I hear, I won't see it until it hits I believe, the Budget Committee. But currently, I believe there's going to be some changes, but I'm not positive what those changes are. If anything, it'll make the bill better. I do expect this to hit the governor's desk. I do expect it to go all the way through and to make sure that we don't have a situation like we did previously.
Fantastic. Representative Overdorf, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate the updates. We'll continue to do that through session as you can. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Casey. Thank you so much for reaching out, and I hope your listeners are having a great day. I'll talk to you soon on this St. Patty's Day.
Sounds very good. Thank you very
Thank you
much,
so much.
Representative Overdorf. Bye now.
Bye now.